Okay. So like I said, we're going to give everybody a few minutes. Good evening, everyone. Those who have logged on, running to their screens or telephones, getting ready to log on, as well as those folks who will watch it in the replay. This is December's Get Bankable 101 monthly coaching session. And tonight's theme is going to be Let's Crush 2020. If you participated last month, I believe we had it either last month or October, was our kickoff. And this was based on the feedback of the group, the CEOs we had in the group that wanted to have the experience of a full-fledged coaching program, but free. And so what I wanted to do was keep it within the Mompreneur CFO group for those of us that own businesses in the group, and really just give everyone the opportunity to be exposed to some good quality training as it relates to getting your business's financials in order. So that is in essence what the Get Bankable monthlies are all about. It's focusing on the small business development services that I provide, and particularly how you can get your small business financials in line, so that the Get Bankable term as it relates to your business is to establish a financial strategy that will lead to you getting the working capital that you need to efficiently run your business. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started at 7:05, and those folks that will join in again, you guys can also watch it on the replay. All right, so but for the sake of time, we're going to go ahead and dive in. All right, so for those of you who don't know me, we have had at least 10 to 20 new CEOs added to the group since our last monthly. So I did want to introduce myself. My name is Taliba Bells, and I am the founder and CEO of TMB Tax and Financial Services. I'm also the founder and CEO of the Mompreneur CFO Facebook group that you guys are watching this in. And so I'm a real person. This is me after like not doing my hair with my little poof. And that's me with makeup and and hair done, right? So I wanted to give you that contrast there because we work all the time, right? So the show must go on. So a little bit about me before we dive into the content this evening. I'm born and raised here in Birmingham, Alabama. After I graduated high school, I moved to Nashville, where I attended Fisk University at HBCU there. And after graduating from Fisk University, I moved to DC, where I attended George Washington Elliott School of International Affairs, worked on Capitol Hill, got a job with the FBI, and 18 years later, I was still in DC. And so most recently, a little bit over 2 years ago, I relocated back home and moved my business back home with me. And what I am now focusing on as a 100% entrepreneur are the services you see at the bottom of the screen. And that is pouring 13 years of experience into the small business community by offering small business development services. And that focuses on tax filing and compliance. That focuses on bookkeeping and payroll, business credit and financing coaching, the whole gambit. And in addition to being the founder of my own business, the founder of this Facebook group, I also serve the city of Birmingham as the Small Business Council member and chair of the Women, Minority, and DBE subcommittee. And so I like to share that with my webinars. So again, to add that real person flair to it, I'm not here to sell any products. I want everybody to know that I am genuinely committed to investing in your business, investing that education, pouring that education and training into your business, so that, as you can see, the goal of tonight is to so you can have a business financial strategy that will allow you to crush 2020. And what better time to have this discussion than a couple of weeks before 2020. And of course, those of us that are moms, wives, sisters, daughters, I'm sure right now everyone is probably wrapped up in Christmas shopping or planning a Christmas shop. I'm like the last minute person here, probably will do all my Christmas shopping on Amazon. But either way, I know this is a busy time, but I wanted to make sure that, you know, at some point you begin to focus on yourself, focus on your individual goals as it relates to your business, and so that you can go into 2020 with a solid foundation. We have been talking about it all year, and if you've been talking about it all year and you haven't done anything, I want you to commit to doing something now. As you're wrapping the gifts, whatever, listen to this video, you know, which is why I love the fact that we can go live in Facebook. Listen to me as you're driving, but listen, but watch it, but get serious, you know, on accomplishing the goals for your business. And let's kick off 2020 with this information so that 2020 will truly be your year. You can set a goal for yourself, but unless you have the tools, unless you have the conversations that really are going to allow you to accomplish those goals, you're simply wasting your time. And I don't want you to do that. So we're going to go into 2020 with a solid business financial strategy. So last time we got together, we went over some business credit homework exercises. So I'll review a little bit of what we talked about last time and ask you if you were able to get those accomplished. If not, I'll put the links, you know, back under this post because you do have time to do that. And then, of course, we're going to be focusing on tonight how you can prepare your business for 2020. Of course, in preparing for 2020, of course, for me, I'm gearing up for tax time. For you, you should be gearing up for tax time. So I'm going to give you the opportunity to do that tonight, to ask any questions. And then we're also going to be talking about a bookkeeping system. So the way that I like to think of this evening is you're in a tune-up phase, right? You're at the end of 2019. You've been driving this car all year. And if you truly want to go into 2020 smooth sailing, not hitting too many, you know, or if you're going to hit some bumpy roads, at least being able to make sure that your car is prepared for them, we're going to do some tune-ups. And in order to do that, we're going to focus on those two areas. Those of you who have seen any of my webinars know that I like this particular graphic here, the average establishment survival rate. And I like it because, you know, it's doom and gloom, but it's the doom and gloom that you need to hear. And what it shows, as you can see, is that downward swoop on this axis here, is that we have such a huge boom in companies that start up, okay? Our numbers are real strong when we have startups. You know, we can say, okay, in year one, 78% are still around, okay? They started up, they're still around. But as you increase to year 2, 3, 4, 5, and go all the way to 10, that number is decreasing. So what does that mean? That means that businesses are starting up, but they're not lasting past 2 years. They're not lasting past 3 years. And when it gets all the way to 10 years, you know, they're only 33.5% remaining. So quite a few startups are no longer around. And that graphic, while it is doom and gloom, that graphic is really a lot of the foundation as to why I believe it's necessary to have the Get Bankable monthlies with the CEOs. If you're thinking about starting a business, this is the perfect time to have this discussion. And certainly if you have been in business between that 1 to 3 year phase, you know how difficult it's been. And I want you to survive. I want you to have your business financial strategy solid so that you last past that 3 years, because these truly are real statistics. So the last time we got together, Shawana, I don't know if you were here. I know that, I don't know, Amy, you may have been able to pop in. Hi, Tanya. It's been a long time. So we have two new folks that I don't think saw the last Get Bankable. And so I want to just kind of refresh a little bit with this. So in the last monthly, the assignment was to, number one, see if you already have a DUNS number for your business. And if you do not have a DUNS number, the homework assignment was to request a DUNS number. Because we did the last month, we kind of dived deeper into business credit. So who knows what a DUNS number is? Those folks that are watching. Yep, there was. So what I'm trying to do with these is do them monthly. We might have skipped November, but I feel like I did start in November. I can't tell. It's been a long day. But what I'm trying to do is have these on a monthly basis. So each session builds off the previous one. So last session had some homework. So what I'll do is just plop these links. And if you catch the replay, I'll put these links underneath tonight's live so that those who weren't here last month could do it this month. So just to reiterate, what your combined homework assignment now is going to be if you have already started your business. Meaning you have registered your business with the state you're located in, you have an EIN, all of that fun stuff. Your next step as it relates to establishing business credit is requesting a DUNS number, which is free from Dun & Bradstreet. And so the last month's homework was to see if you already had a DUNS number. Because sometimes even as a new business, especially if you have gotten a loan already in your business, you may already have a DUNS number. So number 3 allows you to check to see, number 1 allows you to check to see if you already have a DUNS number. And then if you don't, I'll give you the link for requesting your DUNS number. When I did this in one other group, those folks who had completed the homework assignment said that it really only took 2 weeks or less for Dun & Bradstreet to mail them their DUNS number. So I thought that was pretty impressive considering that in the past, it's certainly taken so much longer, as well as, you know, if you call Dun & Bradstreet, we'll try to upsell you on virtually all of their products. And so whenever I tell people about DUNS numbers, I also have to say, request it online and just know that it's free. You know, beware of the upsell that you may experience with Dun & Bradstreet. But you know, again, DUNS numbers are free. So I'll put those links there so that you can request. No, it's not the same as the EIN. The EIN is issued by the IRS, and it's what you'll be using to report your business income when you file taxes. The DUNS number is what you would need to really now to even, you know, do contracts with the government. They're requesting a DUNS number. Almost everybody's requesting a DUNS number. But one of the primary purposes that we talked about DUNS numbers was creating business credit and being able to track your business credit. Okay. So I'll put those links at the bottom, y'all. All right, so along with that assignment, the last time was to create a NAV account. Those of you guys who have been following some of the things, the partnerships that I've made with the company, one of my partners is NAV. And NAV is one of the industry leading companies that provides credit reports, personal and business credit, under one platform. And they have actually added quite a few other resources to their website, which is why, you know, they're kind of the first in the game to combine business and personal credit and give that access to customers. So the homework from that time was to create a NAV account. There is a free NAV account. I'll put that link into the comments as well. My recommendation was that if you requested your DUNS or if you had a DUNS number already, then you may want to get a premium NAV account. But if you know that you're brand new, you don't have any business credit, a free NAV account is totally fine. And these are some of the things that you get with a free NAV account. You get the summary of your business credit reports. If your business has business credit, you'll have business credit reports either from Dun and Bradstreet, from Experian, or from Equifax. With a free NAV account, you'll also get the summaries of Experian and your TransUnion personal credit reports. You'll also get the 24/7 business and personal credit alerts. Like I said, NAV is totally unique in the sense that you're tracking now with the NAV account your business and personal credit. Okay. And then they also have one of their newer features is called the match factor. And so it works a lot like some of your other platforms. I think Credit Karma, a lot of the, like even TransUnion, a lot of the other personal credit platforms, like based on your personal credit score, you know, they'll match you with potential folks who will give you a credit card. Well, so NAV does that, but they also do that from a business credit perspective. Like I said, they have truly changed the game. So as you're building business credit, NAV's match factor will then show you business credit cards and other business credit lenders who could possibly offer you their accounts based on your business credit score. So that's why it was important for me to definitely partner with NAV, simply because of the game-changing resources that they provide to those folks who are establishing business credit for their business. So those were the two, I think I had just had two. Yeah, those were the two homework assignments from last month. And like I said, I see a couple of folks who are on that I know weren't on last month's call. So I'm going to make sure that I put the homework assignments from last month underneath this post so that you can also take advantage of those things. Okay. All right. Perfect. So now what we're going to do is focus on this month's time. Like I said, we're cruising into 2020. So 2020 means what? Tax time tune-up for your business. And so what we want to talk about is why, you know, not just as an individual tax preparer or tax professional, sorry, but as a business owner. It's very important for you to understand tax compliance and the role that it plays in your business. And sometimes folks think it's just a one-time transaction during tax time, but it actually is a year-round thing. And why? Because of this quote. The American Enterprise for Opportunity has done plenty of studies, and they are one of the top in researching small businesses and how small businesses can flourish. And they have concluded that there are three common areas where business owners fall short when it comes to getting that working capital that they need for their business. And that is building credit, both business and personal, which we talk about. That's financial management. And that's not only just, you know, where's your cash flow, but tracking your financials, as well as how can you forecast your financials. And being tax compliant plays into these things. So if you're a small business owner or aspiring to be a small business owner, you know that these three areas could possibly be a challenge for you right now. So we bring them to the forefront in talking about them this evening, because as you go into 2020, you need to know what your challenges are so that you can effectively address them. Okay, good. Amy, I see that. All right, so Amy had asked about the EIN. And so as I had said in answering her question, your EIN is issued by the IRS, and it is for primarily, because the IRS issues it, it is for tax filing purposes. However, your EIN also, very much so, plays a role in your business's ability to be able to build business credit. Okay, so in last month's discussion, we talked about EINs, and so I do want to review some of the things we talked about, because this is very important both for tax filing issues as well as for business credit. once you have obtained your EIN for your business, right, there's always going to be a housekeeping factor on that, particularly for those of us who move. If you say you got your EIN when you started your business in one state, like I did, I started my business in Virginia. So my EIN had my Virginia address at the time. When you relocate to another state, you want to make sure that your address is also updated. Okay. So name match also. When I started the business in Virginia, it was TMB Tax Services. When I relocated and filed my entity registrations here in Alabama, I updated it to TMB Tax and Financial Services. Because my scope of my business did not change, or I wasn't changing my entity structure or anything like that, I didn't need to get a new EIN. However, I needed to update the fact that I had updated my name with the IRS. And so what this slide tells you is if you've already gotten your EIN, you want to make sure that you have housekeeping with it. You want to make sure that your name matches what your original paperwork was. You want to make sure your addresses matches what your original paperwork says. If it does not, and because we're so close to tax time, I'll say the quickest way first. The quickest way to update what's on file with the IRS for your EIN, especially during tax time, is to simply file with your new information. So what that would mean for you, Amy, since you just moved, is when you file your Schedule C, you're going to update your address on your Schedule C in January. And so that is the quickest way to change it with the IRS. If we weren't so close to tax time, then the second bullet here would be, I would suggest that you fill out the 8822B. And you would change your address that way. If you need to change your name, it will be the SS4. But as I said, since we are so close to tax season, what I did was I simply made those changes on the tax form that I filed, and that was the quickest way to do that. Okay. I also want to talk about self-employment tax. Particularly a lot of us, the most common business structure is a single member LLC. I'm sure if I were to poll folks in this group, I'm an LLC, okay? If I were to poll folks in this group, most people will say, hey, I'm an LLC, or I'm a sole proprietorship. And so what that means is you're filing a Schedule C. And what that means is that you are a pass-through entity, okay? And so right now, as a pass-through entity, and always, you're going to get a self-employment tax. And I want to talk about this tonight because a lot of my CEOs that are pass-through entities, and they also work, right? So not only are you an LLC, but you're getting a W-2 from somewhere, or you're maybe also getting a 1099 from somewhere, or your spouse is getting a W-2. So you have multiple sources of income that you're filing with your taxes, okay, along with your business's income. There are very few waivers or types of businesses that would be able to exclude self-employment tax. So virtually everybody gets that. And the $1 million question that I always get is, why do I owe? You know what I mean? Like, I owe $3,000. And of course, it's not just self-employment tax. Absolutely, there are other factors that may come into play with you owing. But what my point is this evening is if you have just traditionally owed when you file taxes, I want you to take a look at your tax return and look to see how much self-employment tax you paid. Because I've done that exercise with folks and they'll see, well, hey, I had about $3,000 in self-employment tax. Because a lot of times that self-employment tax is what would put you over into owing. And so what I'm doing now, just as a result of those conversations and just really in moving, like I said, to start crushing 2020, is having a conversation with business owners about whether or not you should be treating your business as a corporation when it comes to filing taxes, which is completely different. Okay. And I know that it can get overwhelming. And so for this month, with what I'm talking about, if anything specifically, you're like, okay, this was a lot of information. I know that you're going to have to look at my paperwork. We need to set a one-on-one up so that I can do that and customize your experience. But for the most part in the group, I want everyone to be aware of, if you're a single member LLC, and LLC, you have not elected to be treated as a corporation, you are a pass-through entity, okay, which means that you are paying self-employment tax. If you are paying self-employment tax and you owe, I want you to take a look at that and see if the trigger is in fact the self-employment tax, okay? And if it is, then we need to get together and talk and see if it's more beneficial for you to be treated as a corporation. There are a lot of factors that come to that, but it certainly is worth having a conversation, you know. And I always say this, even if whether you have $10,000 in the bank, $5,000 in the bank, or $1 million in the bank, it's very appropriate for you to have these type of conversations now, and for you to get access to someone who can help you now, so that you can have that foundation. So it's never too early to have that conversation. Don't ever think that, oh, well, I'm not making any money, and then you like log off and you stop listening, because we're claiming that you are going to be making some money, and I don't want you to be blindsided, okay? And so the reason why, you know, we talk about this and why I kind of put the bug in your ear about that pass-through entity is, you know, is this. So the new tax laws, a lot of folks have the misconception that it only benefits the super rich. Well, let me say this, it does benefit the super rich, right? However, it benefits everyone. And this is how. If you elect for your business to be treated not as a pass-through entity like we talked about, but as a corporation, what does the first paragraph say? The new tax law has changed where the corporate tax rate has gone from a maximum of 35% to a flat rate of 21%. What does that mean? That means you can make $10,000 and your tax rate as a corporation is going to be 21%, or you can make $10 million and your tax rate is going to be 21%. So if you go back to the statement, the super rich benefit, you see why people say that, because your $10,000 at 21% and someone else's $10 million at 21%, you can see that kind of disparity. But the fact of the matter is, it's 21% for every corporation. So again, if you believe that now's the time for you to have a discussion about your business entity type and whether or not you should elect to be treated as a corporation at the IRS level, I am having those conversations with businesses, and we need to do a one-on-one. Because what this means is, and particularly, like, we're real business owners, so our spouses are working. You may still be working. You might not be 100% business owner. So you have other income coming in. And so when you have other income coming in, look at that last paragraph. So let's say between your W-2, your husband's W-2, your wife's W-2, your household income is at, you know, $100,000 in net after you do everything, you know, do all of your deductions and so forth and so on, you're at $100,000. Well, as a pass-through entity, that means that your tax rate for that $100,000 is going to be 24% on your Schedule C. Okay. Now, 24% is higher than 21%, right? And with $100,000, that 3% can be, you know, I mean, you can put it in your child's 529, or you can reinvest it back in your company, but money saved is money saved. So I like to have it, even though It can be a complex discussion to talk about in a webinar setting. I want that conversation where, even if it's just to get you to start thinking about it, I want you to know that you have access to someone who can have this discussion with you, looking at your financials and say, yes, it's a good time for you to do this and I can help. So that's really what all of this is about, is letting you see the real value of our Get Bankable one-on-one monthlies, and you really strategizing and thinking about how can this help my money and saving my money for my business. Okay, let's see. I know we had a couple of questions. Okay. Amy, there's a number of different questions that the IRS can ask you to retrieve your EIN, and they can remail it to you if you don't remember it. So I'll give you that link. Yep. All right. And so this is just more of whether or not your current pass-through entity, you should ask to be treated as a corporation. As I said, and this is something that I want to also put out there too, because your head may be swimming like, well, so does that mean I have to change my entity type? Do I have to go back to the state and change my entity type? A lot of people don't know that. No, you don't. You do not. You do not have to say, if I said, well, TMB Tax and Financial Services, I don't want to be a pass-through entity anymore. Did you know that there is a way that you can basically request a corporation treatment? There is a way that you can request that your LLC be treated as a corporation from the IRS. So I can remain an LLC with the state of Alabama, but the IRS can grant me the authority to file my taxes as an S corporation. Okay, there are steps to that, but there are certainly benefits to that as well, which we talked about before, and that is the different tax treatment. Okay. The other thing that I wanted to put out there, which is not so complex, but we have to talk about the tough issues, right? Is that, did you know that you can be, how specifically you can build a family legacy with your business? If you have children under the age of 18, or grandchildren, I've even been at like my neighbor's kids, you know what I'm saying? Anyone under the age of 18. And I'll also say, really any young adult, because I'm talking about family legacy, but this does apply to any adult really. If you have extra money, right, before December 31st, and you want to have a tax write-off, and you also want to build a legacy with your children, then you can pay them less than $12,000 and they won't have to file. Okay, now this depends on your entity type. This goes into whether or not you're a corporation and so forth and so on. But just know, because you probably have heard people say, oh, hey, when you get a business, pay your kids. That's true. You can pay your kids. You can absolutely build your family legacy doing that. As a bookkeeper, and in the accounting services that I provide, there are ways you can do that, and everybody wins. Your child has $11,000 in his or her bank account, and now you have an expense that you can write off through your business, and your child doesn't have to pay taxes on that because it's less than the standard deduction. Okay. All right, so I know I've made everybody's head swim about the taxes, but I told you we had to do a tax tune-up. I wanted to drop these nuggets tonight in December, okay, so that while you're wrapping the Christmas presents, planning the Christmas dinners, all of this other stuff, you're also planning for your business. you're also strategizing on what you need to be doing going into 2020 as it relates to your business. These are tax tips, tax strategies that any business has to their availability. It does not matter how much you make. There are times when it's time to turn that switch on and turn the switch off, but it's important for me to expose you to this information wherever you are in your business so that you can effectively strategize when you're saying you want to build your business financial strategy for success. If no one's talking to you about these things, then you need to change your circles. You need to involve yourself in power circles that can talk to you about your money, no matter how much money you have, so that when it's time for you to grow into your blessing as to whatever your business is going to go in, you know what to do, or at least you have access to people who know what to do, right? Okay. So now we're going to go into the bookkeeping aspect. And these are things, like I said, I think that they're sexy and fun, but not every business owner does, right? You guys have passion about, I see my aunt, passion about fitness, passion about ministry, passionate about the medical profession, passionate about whatever your business is. You are passionate about those things. And that's why you started those businesses. I'm passionate about how the business side works, how your business looks on paper, how effectively your business is tax compliant. Because if your fitness business, if your ministry, if your home care industry, if your business is not tax compliant, if your business has no record keeping system in place, your business will not be a business. You will be out of business and it'll just be a passion. So this is why it's important to have these sessions. Can you really crush 2020? We can say, oh, these are some of the new things I'm going to do in, my New Year's resolution, whatever you want to say for your business. But I'm here to tell you, you cannot crush 2020 if you are not talking about tax compliance for your business. If you are not talking about record keeping, bookkeeping for your business. I'm here to say that for you. I'm here to challenge you on that. And so these are the questions that you would be able to answer. Is your business making money? And I say this all the time. I'm not asking you what's the balance on your account. I'm not asking you to log into your Wells Fargo account, your Compass account, your whatever account, and tell me the balance. That's not what these questions are asking you. Okay, it goes much deeper. Is your business making money? Well, you can log in, all right, but making money means what's left after you pay the bills. What are the bills? Is your business losing money? Is it growing? Is it failing? Are you spending too much on a particular supply? Are you spending too much on a particular vendor? And number one, is your business in a position to be financed? Those are not questions that you would be able to answer just by logging into your portal, okay, or your bank account. So you have to have a record keeping structure. You have to have a bookkeeping structure, because your bookkeeping is going to give you that holistic financial condition of your business. It's going to be able to say, here's your business's performance. You're going to have that data that's going to allow you to look at it and plan and say, yes, I'm where I want to be, or yes, I'm spending what I want to spend, and really dice that information and have that conversation about your business. Because when you say, well, I think I'm ready for a loan, Taliba. I saw you talking to, excuse me, I saw you talking to Reginald Smith with Sabre Financial, and, I think I'm ready to apply for a loan, and then I'm like, okay, cool. Where's your financial documents? Where's your profit and loss statement? And then when that happens, it's no financial, it's no documents. It's no financial documents. There's no profit and loss. And that's why we partner together, because no bank can loan you money without that. And that's a traditional bank or a non-traditional bank. Even payday loan people ask you for last year's taxes, you know, if you're self-employed. So it's very important for you to talk about this tough stuff now and evaluate yourself now, so that 2020 comes, you can write down on your list, here's where I need to improve, here's what I'm doing right, and convert that into a business financial strategy that is going to create success for you for 2020. So we're going to do a quick interactive. I'm going to post a sample profit and loss statement in the group. So give me a second. I have a little bit of a cold, so I'm going back and forth on coughing and all the rest of that stuff. This weather is crazy. Hold on, I know where it's. Okay. I'm gonna put this in the group files. All right. Let's see how live time this could be. All right, I just put the sample profit and loss statement from the QuickBooks sample company, Craig's Design and Landscaping. It is now in the group's files, and you should probably see it in the group's timeline where I uploaded it. When you see it, go back in the chat and let me know that you can see it, and you'll have to download it. Okay, so what I just did was I uploaded the sample profit and loss statement as a group file. And so if you were to, you'll probably have to go back to the timeline of the group, and you'll be able to see where I uploaded this group file. And once you see the group file, just, download it. It's going to be a PDF. And you will see that the company is Craig's Design and Landscaping. Okay. And I just have people download it, for the purpose of just, you can have it. You can use this, to when you're not logged on to the live, and just to start your own conversations aside from this interactive. So I'm also pulling it up on the screen. But again, it probably works a little bit better if you download it and you're able to pull it up on your side as well. So I want to ask a couple of questions. This is our interactive on a profit and loss statement. Okay. So if this was your profit and loss statement, that's how I want you to answer these questions. Okay. All right. So just so you can get familiar with the profit and loss statement, I'm going to ask a couple of basic questions, obvious questions, so I can know that everyone's looking at the right stuff. And I want you to put the answers in the comments. Let's see. Do we need QuickBooks if we have a payroll company? So if you have used a third-party payroll company, you do, okay, because that payroll company is only tracking your payroll expenses. And a lot of the accounting softwares, QuickBooks included, does sync with your payroll data. And you'll be able to, first of all, you'll be able to see your payroll within your QuickBooks because it's going to be withdrawn from your banking account. So the short answer is yes, Shawana, you absolutely still need a QuickBooks account to track your other expenses and also to track your income, even if you have a payroll service provider. Okay. All right. So again, I'm going to ask a couple of basic questions just so I know that everybody's looking at the same information. All right. So we're pretending that this is our profit and loss statement. How much did you guys spend on plants and soil so far? Put that amount in the comments. How much have you spent so far on plants and soil? Anybody find that on the profit and loss statement? Plants and soil. Okay, I know it's somewhat of a lag, so I'm gonna spoil the answer here. So here you can see that so far, your company has very good. Your company has spent 22.64% of your income. Correct, Amy. Which translates into right now, you have spent $2,220.72. Right. So everybody's looking at the same thing. Perfect. All right. So I know everybody's looking at that same thing. All right. So of these things, let's see. Now I ask my questions here. All right. So now my question is, and this is really going to help if you've downloaded it, just because this answer is at the top and bottom, and it's only so much you can see on this screen. But tell me, of your expenses, okay, now we're looking at the expenses part of the profit and loss. Of your expenses, which category has the most expenses? So I have an expenses for automobiles, I have an expense for job expenses, and I have it on the first page, and I have an expense for legal and professional fees. So of those three categories, which category is where I'm spending the most money? Which category is where I'm spending the most money? Okay. So if you guess that you're spending the most money on your job expenses, so that's going to be equipment rental, insurance, job materials, decks and patios, plants and soil, sprinklers, then you guessed correctly that most of your money, $957.89, is being spent in the job expenses category. Okay. Now, The way that that makes sense is if you go back up here and you look at your income and you are able to tell me, so we know that that was roughly, what did we say, $900. Okay. Now, how much money am I bringing in on my job materials? My total job materials. How much money am I bringing in? So up here, you can see that of the job materials and income, I'm bringing in a little bit over $4,000. Okay. So what does that tell you? Where do these pieces come together? Right now, you're in the profit. Okay. If you've only spent 900 something bucks on job expenses, but because of the way that you're charging for your job materials, you've made $4,000, then you're good. Okay. But the whole point of this interactive is to, number one, show you that a profit and loss statement has an all-in-one place. Okay. This is not, a bank statement doesn't do it for you like this. Okay. Because this is how your expenses are categorized from your bank, but it's not a bookkeeping document. It's not a financial document. But when you can produce a financial document for your business, you are able to have a conversation about what it means. You are able to say, well, as we had pointed out before, 22.64% of my money is going towards, sprinklers and whatever, but I'm bringing in $2,000. So you would feel comfortable to say those are effectively priced. A lot of times I get the question, well, how do I set my prices? How do I know what to charge? And where I would say is look at how much you're spending. Where are your expenses line in that category? And so when I asked you earlier, well, how much are they spending? And you told me they're spending the $900 or the $2,000, then we're looking at how much they're bringing in. Then I would say your fees are pretty good. But if that were reversed, if you were not bringing in as much, then that's a surefire way to say, well, perhaps I need to increase my fees. So the whole point in this interactive, like I said, is that when you have established a bookkeeping system where you are effectively tracking your expenses and your income and you're putting them into expense categories, you're really able to have a conversation as a CEO about what's going on in your business. Your accountant, your bookkeeper, whoever you have doing your books should be able to ask you those types of questions. And when you look at everything and you see everything in a picture, such as a profit and loss, it'll make more sense for you to be able to make those CEO type decisions. And that is, like I said, a demonstration, while again, very tedious, it's a demonstration that you have to have at any level in your business so that you can see how important it is to be able to produce a profit and loss statement. So it's important for you as a CEO to make decisions, but let me tell you, a profit and loss statement is asked for when you ask somebody else for money. This is one of the statements that the financial institutions will ask you for. Where's your profit and loss statement? And if they look at your profit and loss statement and they see, well, you're bringing in $4,605, but you're spending $8,000. And so your profit and loss is negative, you're not going to get any money. If this says, well, you're bringing in $4,605.22, but you're spending $4,605.22. So if you're breaking even, you're not going to get any money. Why? Because the banks want to know, like, what discretionary income do you have? Like, after you've paid your bills, what do you have left over? And if you have nothing left over, you can't pay the bill back. You can't pay the loan back. Right? So it's always a bigger picture. I'm harping on the tax compliance. I'm harping on the profit and loss. I want you to get to know these things in your business, because when it's time for you to ask a financial institution for money, and even investors, even your investors may want, hey, where's your profit and loss statement? Where's your balance sheet? You won't be able to get that money from the investor because you won't be able to produce those documents. So can you crush 2020? Can you crush 2020 without having these things? You know, that's why we're asking the real serious questions. All right, so now we're talking about, I've already, you know, probably made your brain swell 1,000 times in bringing up all these things. So now let's talk about how you can get on the track of being able to provide this stuff. All right. So now we're going to talk about some of the QuickBooks products. Right. And I know Shawana had asked about that. And I think I don't know that anyone on the live that I've seen pop in and out, I don't know that I've had this discussion with either of you. So I want to have the discussion tonight. Okay. So there is, I call this the QuickBooks Advantage. And it's the QuickBooks Advantage because QuickBooks is pretty, their subscriptions, their online subscriptions range from $5 a month to maybe $40 a month. So Intuit has really done a great job at being affordable for businesses no matter where they are. And like I said, that is why, again, you know, I chose to affiliate myself with QuickBooks and become a pro advisor for their online products because they truly do offer small business owners, wherever they are in their business, the opportunity to track those financials that we've been talking about. So the online products range from QuickBooks Self-Employed, Online Simple Start, Online Essentials, and Online Plus. Okay. So a lot of folks have asked me, you know, well, which subscription should I get? Which subscription makes sense? You know, should I have QuickBooks? You know, and my answer is always going to be yes, you should, because there is a subscription for every type of business. Now, the QuickBooks Self-Employed version is, as we talked about, the pass-through entities. So everybody should remember what pass-through entity is about because we talked about it. But if you are a pass-through entity, you don't have any employees, okay, and you want just the basic, you know, income and expenses tracking, then likely the self-employed version is for you. Now, as in Shawana's case, if you have a payroll service provider, that means you have employees, and so the self-employed version would not be the one that I would recommend. But if you do not have employees, you're not running any payroll, and it's just you, the self-employed subscription is likely the best for you. And so with all of the QuickBooks subscriptions, you are able to use receipt capture. Okay, now I have to fall back to the previous slides when we talked about taxes, because as a tax person, I love receipts and I want you to love receipts. So QuickBooks has, through all of their subscriptions, empowered the option of taking a picture of your receipt. And when you take a picture of your receipt as you've made the purchase, it goes into your cloud account. And when it's time to consolidate everything, you have the actual image of your receipt within your QuickBooks receipt section. It's a pretty phenomenal concept. Estimating quarterly taxes. So we talked about owing. And another common question that I get is, you know, well, should I be paying estimated quarterly taxes, which basically means paying money throughout the year? This is typically the question that I get for real estate folks or other folks who solely get a 1099. They're not on any payroll. They just get commissions and bonuses, which means no taxes are being taken out at all throughout the year. A lot of those folks don't want to have a tax bill during tax time. So they want to know, how do I avoid that? And so the answer is quarterly taxes. The self-employed version does it for you. So when you've gotten everything synced in there, in your dashboard, you'll be able to see where QuickBooks says, hey, based upon the money you've made, you might want to send this in, to avoid having a tax bill. The self-employed version also allows you to send invoices, electronic invoices to your clients, customized invoices to your clients. And it also allows you to add the Go Payment option, where you can accept electronic payments. That's going to be via credit card or bank draft. And so again, the self-employed version, which is, it ranges when it's on, on sale up to not on sale. It's like from $4 to $10 a month. You're also able to track miles. Okay. This is very important really for any business owner that's using their either their personal vehicle, or you actually have a business vehicle. Okay. You need to be able to track your miles, and the QuickBooks self-employed version allows you to do that. And this system is IRS compliant. So we all know, if you've ever, just being a business owner and you filed miles before, or even if you hadn't, let me tell you that miles is one of the hot items that IRS will audit. I have to tell people that. Because they want you to really get detailed with your miles tracker. Like, they want to know, my mile marker said 1,564, and I went here and it said, so that the mileage tracker that the self-employed version comes with allows you to get that detailed. And it is important because it almost makes you, foolproof when it comes to, if the IRS were to ask for your records. The records that you would be able to provide would be what they would ask, what they would require. And the self-employed version is the only one that has a mal feature in it. Okay. The next one on up is the online simple start. It does everything the self-employed does. The newer thing that it does that self-employed does not do is if you have to track your sales tax, or if you send estimates versus actual invoices. If you need to send an estimate to a client before you actually close the sale, the online simple start allows you to do that. The online simple start, Shawana, allows you to add in full service payroll. This is one thing I like to tell folks. I don't know why, but a lot of people automatically go to a company like Paychex, or ADP. I have clients that use third-party payroll service providers, so I understand it, or Advantage Payroll. But QuickBooks actually has a full service payroll that works much like those providers do. And so it'll all be in one-stop shop. They also have what they call the self-service payroll, which works best if you're a hands-on CEO and you want to run payroll yourself. It's not a difficult task using QuickBooks, because they calculate everything for you. Then you can manually run your own payroll, or you can have a bookkeeper do it for you. So the online simple start, Shawana, may be good for you, depending on everything that's going on with your business, which we can talk about offline. The next one is the essentials. This subscription is the one that I put most folks in, because it does everything we talked about before. It does the sales tax. It also, if you have employees, it also will allow you to do payroll taxes as well. You can also pay your bills. You can have bill management here. You can pay them electronically. You're also able to track time if you have contractors or people that are not on payroll. Instead of using, a time clock, or however you may be using it, you can also invite them to track their time using your QuickBooks subscription. So you can see how robust the QuickBooks products allows you to get when it comes to running your business. The Online Plus does everything we previously talked about. It is for like if you're doing multiple projects. Typically, this is for, I use this for folks who are in the construction business or any type of service business where you may have different clients or you're working on different projects all at the same time. You're going to definitely need Online Plus so that you can keep track of each individual project and the income and expenses in that project. The Online Plus is also it's also good if you are a retail person. So if you have inventory that you need to track, Online Plus is what you would need to start out with. So Amy, for volunteers, I would probably have to talk one-on-one with you if you're just tracking their time just to track it. If you're not paying them, you can certainly use it to track their time, but if you're not paying them, then it wouldn't need to feed into your payroll or anything, but they can certainly track their time using that option. Yes. Mhm. All right, some of the other features, like I said, we talked about receipt capture. So QuickBooks has receipt capture in all of the subscriptions now. QuickBooks, basically Intuit plays friendly with all the apps. I mean, they play friendly with PayPal, play friendly with Square. Just about all the apps that are out there, they integrate with QuickBooks. Sometimes they're a little clunky, but they do integrate very well. And one of the newer things that QuickBooks is doing, like I said, Intuit is really ahead of the game. They are like the mecca of all financial software, to be honest with you, is they have now integrated financing into QuickBooks. If you already have a QuickBooks subscription, you may see where it's now sending you notifications about applying for different financing. I thought that was pretty cool. That's been happening within the past year. So what they're doing now, it kind of works a lot like I was talking about with Nav, is it kind of assesses the data that you have in QuickBooks, and it may send you an invitation for someone who may finance you based upon your QuickBook data. Right now, QuickBooks is saying that they're able to actually provide cash flow up to $100,000. So I thought that was pretty cool. All right, so we're not going to have as much time to test drive. So this is going to be something, I did the same thing in another group that I did this presentation on, is I'm going to give everybody the test drive link. And this is why I'm going to do that is this is a sample company. It's no way you can break it, but you have full access to go in and play around with the invoicing. You can play around with running reports. Basically, you get to test drive it. You get to test drive the feel of it if you like it. And the sample company does have an essentials subscription. So just remember that you would be test driving an essentials subscription. And so I will put that under the comments. And so I will give you a homework assignment based off of your test drive. Okay. So after I end the live, please make sure that you go into the comments to get the links I'm going to put in there, because I'm going to put links in there about the business credit portion that we did the last time, and the business credit homework. And then now I'm going to put the link for you to test drive Craig's Design and Landscaping. And I'm going to do homework based upon your test drive. Okay. I want to just do like a brief interactive. I don't know if it will bring it up or not. It probably won't, but let's see. We're at 8:12. But I did kind of describe it. That video basically just talks about, it shows you how you can do payroll within QuickBooks. Shawana, I know that that you have a third party payroll person, as well as some others that I've seen pop in and out. And again, I had that video in there because a lot of folks don't know that QuickBooks also does payroll. So we don't need to do that again because I did actually go over it. So that is actually all I have for this evening. Again, I know that the monthlies, we cover quite a bit of stuff, and it's not fluff. It is not easy stuff to consume. And so that's why I am going to leave the video up, for a day or two for the replays, and then also for you to determine which questions you want to ask. You can put them underneath the comments, or you can message TMB Tax and Financial Services directly. But I also want to say as well, particularly as it relates to getting ready for tax time and the discussion I was having about whether or not your company, should be treated as a corporation and all of that fun stuff. That is a one-on-one. So you would be able to definitely, and this is a free one-on-one, get a free consultation as to whether or not this is a good time for you to do that, as well as looking at some of your I would obviously need to have your previously filed taxes to give you a better assessment of that. Okay. All right. So let me see if there's any questions that I for the question you put, Amy. So I just remember one part. I'm old. So I would have to ask you that the other part. I would have to ask you your other part to make sure that I remember before I tell you which QuickBooks subscription. Okay. All right. So that is all that I have for tonight, everyone. Thank you for those who popped in when they could, and for those of you guys who hung in there through the whole session. I do want to continue to do these, so we will have one next month in January, and I may just focus more. I try to switch up the different subject matters. So before, in the previous one, we talked about business credit. In this one, we're talking about taxes. In the one in January, I may talk about business credit a little bit more because it would make sense to follow back up on some of the exercises that I gave you for the business credit. And then we'll probably start focusing on getting you a strategy in place so that you can possibly get financed in 2020, possibly get approved for a loan. So what I'm doing now which is different, I'm also going to put a link in for my Google review. I really need to do a better job of tracking my online coaching. So I would just ask if you could give a Google review or a Facebook review of your experience this evening. And I'd really appreciate that. And of course, you all know how to find me. These are the company's Facebook and social media pages. All right. So again, no, thank you. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. All right. So I'm going to put those links in as soon as I publish the live. So everybody have a good evening. And if I don't, I'll pop in the group beforehand, but I'm going to say it anyway. Merry Christmas. All right. I'll see y'all later. Thank you.